So next up, running right away to the next keynote, we will have a keynote about tokenization in action, commodities, IP, and art. And I'm very happy to welcome and honored to welcome Lars Schlichting from Lexify on stage. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. So hello everybody. Today I wanted to present you a real case of tokenization. We are speaking a lot of blockchain, crypto, Web3, but how can we use this technology? How can we use this technology to change the business model that we have or our clients have? So what I want to show you is this tokenization in action. And the example that I wanted to show you is real-world asset tokenization. That means we take some assets that exist, they could be tangible, but even intangible assets, and we tokenize them to create more market, more liquidity, to be able to unfreeze the power and the liquidity of assets that maybe are not so liquid. So the definition of a real-world asset tokenization is, you can read it, representing physical assets on a digital token on a blockchain. That can be a commodity, that can be artwork, that can be even shares of companies, and even tangible assets. We are right now working also on a project to tokenize intellectual properties. So you can tokenize a little bit of everything. And the purpose of doing this tokenization is really to allowing to increase the liquidity of the asset. Think about of real estate, for example. Selling a real estate, you need a lot of money to sell it. But maybe we can fractionalize the real estate and sell tokens that represent the ownership of a part of this real estate to a lower price and having more liquidity to the market and having people and investors that can purchase this token for a fraction of the price. So there are advantages and there are also disadvantages. I will show it later of doing tokenizing real-world assets. What are the advantages? First, global access. If I tokenize an asset and I sell the token representing these assets, so representing the ownership of the assets, I can sell the token everywhere in the world. I can sell it to a client in Argentina, to a client in Japan, to someone in Australia, to someone in Canada, because they don't have to. I don't have to move the real asset. The real asset remain in custody by the issuer of the token, which take the liability of holding these assets in his custody. What I sell is just a token representing this asset that is in my custody. As said, I can improve liquidity because I can really have all the market interested in this asset. I can fractionalize the assets, take a luxury car and sell just a part of it. Cost reduction, because the transaction, I can transfer the ownership of a real-world asset just for the cost of a blockchain transaction, so very cheap. And finally, democratization. I can open very expensive asset, the ownership of very expensive asset to everyone, thanks to fractionalization. There are also some disadvantages. We must be aware of it. Could be some security concerns, so we are still speaking about something digital, so we know that we have to be a little bit careful for cyber threats. There are some limited market acceptance. Nowadays, the best would be to purchase a real-world asset token with another token, which make the experience very fast, very smooth, but not everyone has a crypto asset in his wallet, so we still need to use some fiat money that increase a little bit the complexity of the transaction. Payment limitation, if we use fiat money, transfer the fiat, it's from Japan, from Canada, from Australia, yes, it's possible, but from other countries, maybe a little bit more difficult. And then the interoperability between the users. So if I want to use, if I want to tokenize a real-world asset and I use a blockchain, but I have the token on another blockchain, and this blockchain doesn't speak with each other, there could be some extra complexity to the situation. However, this is something that can be done. And what I can share you from our perspective is that there are a lot of projects with asset tokenization right now. And there are some rules that you have to follow. So it's not something, it's not the Far West, okay? That is a regulated activity, so there are 3 conditions that you have to fulfill if you want to make a real-world asset token. I take it here on the screen. So first of all, the token that you have must really represent the asset. So you cannot sell a token to take the money and with the money purchase the asset afterwards. You have to already have the asset available, and when you sell the token, you really sell the ownership of the asset. Then when you transfer the token, that you must have the legal documentation that confirm that by transferring the token, you are also transferring the ownership of the asset. And finally, the custody, the deposit of the asset must be done on a non-fungible way. So if I have, for example, a specific car, this is the specific car that I am selling. I cannot do a real-world asset token, for example, for fungible object if there is, without some exception that I will write C, which is gold, of course, and commodities. And when I transfer the real-world asset token, that's very good. In Switzerland, we have the laws that allow us really to transfer the ownership of the assets without the need to transfer the asset itself. So I can have, as I say, the assets stay in custody by the original owner of the assets, which want then to tokenize it because they want to create more liquidity for these assets, maybe keep a part of the assets in ownership, but selling the rest, so the assets remain within the owner of the asset, which will act as a custodian, and it will be liable, of course, as a custodian for the other token holder, and in case it will then sell the asset, the money will then flow to the token owner. The sale price will then flow to the token owner in percentage if this is a fractional token. Then, as said, we can have co-owners of these assets. So every token represents a percentage of the assets or a specific part of the assets. That's also something that we do for arts. If you have a paintings, you can choose which part of the painting you want to tokenize. And maybe you are tokenizing a particular part of the paintings that is much valuable than the right corner, which is just blue sky and is a blue token. And you can give to him a minor value if compared to the particular part of the painting. And you can see also since 2018, the Federal Council recognized the fact that by transferring a token, we can really transfer the ownership of the asset. So I wanted very quickly to show you some example of tokenized asset that we are doing. The easiest one is commodity. So you can tokenize commodity, you can sell tokens which represent commodity. This is something that you have already on the market. There are a lot of gold token on the market out there, but you really can tokenize everything related to commodities and not only gold. And as said, one of the regulatory requirements is you need to have the gold with you. So normally what you do is that you recognize that the owner of the token can give you back the token and you have to give him the gold as a redemption. Then a very interesting example is that you can use token also to tokenize a process. In this case, we tokenize recycled water. But in reality, we tokenize a process which we're able to count how many liters or how many cubic meters of recycled water a company, an industry, could produce. And then we create a token, and this token is a sort of carbon credit for water. And why you need this? You need this because for ESG requirements, some companies need to offset their use of water, and then they can purchase this token representing the recycled water done by the other industry. And the very interesting part is why we have to tokenize this, because we can also put it on a marketplace and give a real value to these tokens. So we have a market value of recycled water because we can put this water on an exchange, and then we see what value the market give to this token. And that is a value for all the process. And finally, as I was saying, we can also tokenize IP rights. The difference between IP rights and the case that I showed you before is IP rights are securities. I'm tokenizing a right. And this right includes a financial right, the right to receive some royalties. So here we are speaking of securities, and therefore we have a little bit more of law and requirements that are requested by the regulator. But it's something you can do. So you can tokenize shares. It's also you have also a financial right there, the dividend. You can tokenize bonds. You have also a financial right there, the interest. But you can tokenize also IP rights, and even tokenize IP rights for an artist or for something that you don't really know what in the future these rights will bring. So it's a good means for artists to get some revenues before they really became famous. That's it. That was my short presentation to show you how blockchain can be used in different fields in order to increase liquidity, to create new markets, and to make business. Thank you very much for your attention.